Well, welcome everybody to the Starting Grid podcast. It's so good to be here with you guys. Micah, Barry, been gone for a little bit, but it's good to see you guys and get to talk a little Formula One.
Yeah, Chad, good to see you. We missed you. Uh, had the Canadian Grand Prix, and now looking forward uh, to the Red Bull Ring in Austria. Micah, how you doing?
Doing great. Sorry, my throat's a little coarse right now, but super excited that we're going to have such a busy month this month. And with all of the 2 weeks and then maybe 3 weeks and all the waiting that we have to have with Formula One, it's so
Right,
nice
right.
when we have a four race month, and,
Yes,
and
yes.
back to back races, and we get to just enjoy. And it really is because they're in Europe now, right?
Yeah,
So all the races are going to be in Europe. All the
some
races are
great
really
races too.
close.
Some good
Um,
racing. So, Micah, did
really
you
good
lose
racing.
you lose your voice cheering on Max Verstappen? Is that what's happening?
You know what? I unfortunately no, I lost my voice cheering for Max Verstappen and then crying over Checo about just not making Q3 in which
We're
is
gonna
now
just
the last four races. So
yeah, yeah. It's not
What is
looking
what is
good.
going on?
Oh,
Right,
I
right.
know. Well, Chad, love to hear your thoughts about Canada.
Yeah. I know. I'll be brief because I know we want to talk about this weekend, but
Yeah.
I think the things that stood out to me was not a great race. Let's be honest, but you had Verstappen tying Ayrton Senna for his
absolutely.
41st win was pretty
Absolutely.
crazy, and I think solidifies just yeah. I mean, I don't know if anybody had any hesitation with how good Verstappen is,
Right.
but I mean, it's just like it just goes to show this guy's incredible, and he's still got a
Right.
career ahead of him.
For sure.
And I know Ayrton's was cut short, so he would have had a lot more wins, I'm sure. But it just puts him in another level. So I think that
Yeah.
was one of my highlights. And then, of course, Fernando keeping his vow to not finish off the podium was incredible to see him and
Yeah.
just I think Aston, with their progression and developments. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I'm like, I wonder if you just, of course, I'd love to get an inside of where teams are putting their money, but I wonder if Aston is putting in significant amount of their 140 million or whatever the cost cap is in this year's car now. Because they're like, I don't know if we're going to have another chance
Right.
next
Right.
year or in the
Right.
Right.
future. I wonder if they're just
Right.
putting it all in now, and of course that would impact next year's car, or
Yep.
if they're trying to do. I mean, I'm sure they're trying to do a little bit of both, but if I were them, I'd be putting a heck of a lot of resource into this year's car,
Right.
Right.
um,
Right.
just
Right.
just to just to have a fun go at it. I mean,
For sure. No, I wouldn't be surprised either. In fact, there's been a lot of conversation this week about that very thing. I don't know if you guys saw Lewis Hamilton's interview where he was griping about Red Bull being dominant and actually said something about the FIA instituting some kind of rule that would limit when teams can start development for the next season. He was saying like it can't be before August. And I loved the reporter was like, well, I mean, you kind of were in the same boat for a number of years when he's like, well, we never started this early. And I just, it's just one of the
whatever.
things that drives me nuts about Lewis is when he's at the head of the pack, oh, it's everything's fine. But if he's not winning, I don't know. Did you guys see that?
I
I
did.
saw what Max responded with, and Max was like, it was the same thing. And Max was like, yeah, when they were winning, no one, they weren't complaining.
Yeah, yeah,
And I can understand. Like, if you're not winning, you're gonna try and find everything you can do to make sure that you're in a position where you're
For
ahead of
sure.
your competitors, right?
right, right.
So I mean, the rules, whatever, but I get it. I totally understand. Um, it's silly. I mean,
Yeah.
that's where the rules sometimes with FIA is just super, super silly.
Well, I mean, and they haven't instituted that rule. I think it was just
Right,
Lewis's perspective on all of that.
right.
I'm gonna make a sticker that says or a T-shirt that says if you're not winning, you're whining. Um, just and then put Lewis's face on it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Anyway,
Well,
enough with the Lewis bashing. You know what I thought was fun with Canada was the surprise rain. Anytime
yeah.
we've had a lot of wet races, which has been I it just is really shaking things up.
Right.
Uh, we're recording this on Friday, and so it's a sprint weekend, and so we've already had practice, the only practice of the weekend, and then qualifying for Sunday is already happened. So, do you guys get to watch any of that?
I haven't yet. No, I get some updates, but I haven't had a chance to. So, spoiler alert: you guys are probably going to tell me, and I'm going to be
Yeah.
angry. No, I'm just
Sorry,
kidding. I'm just
Chad.
kidding.
No,
No.
I
You're
mean,
fine. You're fine.
it was really good. Like
It was
it
good.
was really, really good. Austria is an incredible, incredible track where you see it's shorter, right? So there's 71 laps that they're
Right.
going to be racing. It's shorter, but the times come down so close, so close. And so one of the biggest things that we're going to see, which we saw last year, and the biggest thing with qualifying was track limits.
Yep.
And Chad, when you rewatch, you'll see track limits was so big that people would do their run and then it wouldn't be immediate. And that was kind of a weird thing, is that they
They were
wouldn't
reviewing the
immediately
footage.
take
Yeah.
it. They'd have to review. And so drivers wouldn't be able to act like, oh, you need to go do it again. But it was 4 or 5 minutes before they, or whatever,
Yeah.
And so a few big people got track limits.
Right.
And then they had to go back out. Sergio Perez, again, track limits. He made it and then cut. He was P2 and Q2, and then his
Okay.
time was cut and he shot right back down, and now he's starting P15. And so it was just really
Right.
big because
So
it's like,
the car was performing.
right,
Right. I mean, and he was pushing it to the limit, and I get that.
sure.
But yeah, the track limits thing is kind of interesting.
It's
Um,
annoying. I will say it's pretty annoying. I know it's the rules, right? You don't have you have to have at least one tire inside the white line. The white lines don't move. And a lot of the commentary was, hey, these are the rules. All
Right.
the drivers were like, this is getting really frustrating. Like really frustrating. And
Why?
here's the thing. I understand that the drivers were frustrated because they're trying to push the car to their limits. But if
Sure.
you're outside the line, you're outside the line. And so you
It's the
have
role.
during Q1, Q2, Q3, Russell, Lewis, Max,
Everyone. Yeah.
everyone's times
Yeah.
was just getting deleted. And so
And it was
everyone
F2, Formula 2 and Formula 3 ran
Same
into
thing.
the same
Same
thing. I know. What do you think, Chad? Track limits?
I'm sure it'll be an issue as well. I think I just think it's just an interesting I think point in the season where you got some pressure on some of these drivers. I've been digging in a little bit of with the DeVries and what's going to happen with him. I know we had I don't know if you guys saw the news when Helmet's talking about AlphaTauri, sorry, and what's going to happen there. I just think. I think we're getting to a point where I'm hoping there's some silly season stuff that starts to happen here as some teams get tired of different, how drivers are producing. You got some contract stuff coming out. I know Bottas is talking about his contract under review right now. So he's got some things that I think could start happening. Not maybe saying it's going to happen this weekend, but the outcomes of these next races, I think, are really going to impact where people go and what starts to unfold this season. And I say maybe I could see it coming a little sooner than maybe we've seen in the past.
Yep, I agree. I'm rooting for Ricardo to be back in the driver's seat somewhere.
Ricardo, and then the other rumor, I think I was talking to you very earlier about it, but another rumor floating around was maybe doing a mid-season switch with Nick DeVries and putting in Liam Lawson instead. That's a rumor floating around. I would love that to happen. I love Liam Lawson. He's doing great in Super Formula, and he's done great in almost all the series he's been in. But Nick DeVries is not doing great, and I think we're in mid-season. We're getting to mid-season, and it's not just, oh, this person had 1 or 2 races that didn't go well. It's, hey, this person is consistently at the bottom, right? Nick DeVries, Logan Sargent. However, I don't know if Logan Sargent's seat is under review as much as Nick DeVries is. My understanding is that Red Bull car has, especially with helmet marker, like you were saying, Chad, like there's a standard with Red Bull. There's an expectation with Red Bull.
Yep.
And if you're finishing the same as, here's the thing, Yuki hasn't been getting a lot of points, but he's consistently top 15.
He's a performer.
11.
he's showing
He's
improvement.
There. He's
Yeah.
there.
No, there'll be, I was even thinking about during quali today. I'm like, if Sergio doesn't pull out a good finish this weekend,
Yeah.
as even where he is in the overall point standing, like
No.
Red Bull's not gonna play around. Like
No.
you can't be
No.
not turning inconsistent results. And so, and they have Ricardo in their back pocket. It's
Yep.
Well, and it's like the thing about it is I feel like as dominant of a car it is, it's not going to impact. I mean, Max's chances of having a title.
No.
And some level, I'm like, do they care about the constructors championship as much as they would live in the Ricardo coming back advertising machine that sucker would I mean, putting him in there would just, I mean, so I wonder if it's like, hey, we may not have as much. I mean, if he doesn't do, let's say he doesn't do as good as Perez coming back in, would they give up maybe the constructors or maybe a better chance in an effort to get some more advertising, and just that would make them a lot more money than I think the championship would,
For
I don't know,
sure.
just an interesting thought, right?
Yeah, especially in the American market, because Daniel is hugely popular here.
So you're right. I mean, but Checo is a big moneymaker for them.
He is. I mean,
he's
and
a big moneymaker. The entire Mexican market.
Yeah.
Right? Those races are some of the most expensive races on the calendar because of him. So
it's just, I think it's the disparity of seeing Max so dominant out front, Checo in the same, essentially the same car, and struggling. And there's just no question that Max is just one of the best drivers in the history of the sport, because that right there, because Checo is no slouch. He's a solid driver.
Great driver.
But you see, like, I think mentally, emotionally, he did come into this weekend. He was ill. He got sick a couple of days ago, so came into the weekend kind of on the back foot in that regard, and was performing well today. But getting back to track limits, for me, I think the drivers complaining about track limits for me is absolutely asinine. It's so ridiculous, because even as the commentators were saying, if there was a wall there, they wouldn't be putting it in the wall, right? So they're pushing it to the edge, but they have to imagine that white line is a wall or a gravel trap, so they push it because they know they can get away with it, but they're not getting away with it, so they're and the FIA is clamping down. And I think it makes for interesting racing, because you have these limits that they have to abide by. So it's like, if it was Monaco, everyone would have been crashed out. Everyone would be rebuilding their cars, but that doesn't happen. So it's an interesting, it is a fast track, which is, in those corners. Yeah. It's in that last corner. I think it's 9 and 10. So you come out of 8, and then you're going down that little hill, and it's almost an off camber turn. And that whole dynamic, it definitely is an interesting corner that, but it's what adds to the uniqueness of the track. And you see, I mean, Max has gone over. He had a couple of lap times deleted, but overall,
he kept it in. You know who did keep it in, and was 4 1,000ths of a second.
48 thousandths of a second.
48 thousandths of a second.
Here's the spoiler. Charles Leclerc. Here's your spoiler,
P2.
Chad.
P2. Charles Leclerc P2. Carlos Sainz P3.
Yeah.
Really, really good jobs. Alonso wasn't there.
No.
He wasn't there.
No.
You know who was there? Lando Norris.
Yep.
Out of the blue.
Yep.
Where is McLaren coming?
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
he was.
Supposedly their upgrades or whatever kind of things they've done to their car have made a big difference. And so
incredible.
It would be so great to see Lando finish have at least a top 10 finish. Like,
absolutely.
It'd be good. Yeah.
So we are talking about qualifying on a Friday. which is not normal,
Which is
right?
crazy. Which is crazy.
This is a sprint weekend. This is the second of 5 this year. And we're super excited because that just means more Formula One. This year, of course, the format's a little different. So we have the super or the sprint shootout tomorrow for qualifying. So we have qualifying in the morning for the sprint, and then we have the sprint. And it's like we have 2 little mini races, or two races on top of our already regular scheduled program.
Yeah.
And as a Formula One fan, I love
Huge.
I love
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
I love it. I think it's and I the last sprint they were complaining. There's a lot of complaining this season, but they were complaining because they only had one practice session, and the track had changed in that case.
It was Baku, right?
Yeah, in Baku, the track had changed. This time the track has not changed. They seem to, the teams came a little bit more prepared. So only one practice session, but it was a good practice session. Everyone got their laps in. We're got a good sense of where they, how the tires were performing, and literally off to the races. Here we go. And if you follow F2 and F3 as well, they're all racing this weekend, and so
so exciting.
There's no lack of racing action to watch.
There's not been up on these last few weeks. There's not been lack of any racing at all. Right back in Miami, there was. Right after Miami, I watched Indy 500. That was incredible. That was so much fun to watch. And then in between them, I think it was before or after Canada, there was the 24-hour Le Mans, and I was watching that, and that was great. And then I actually was able to go to the only U.S. Formula E race this year, which was in Portland, Oregon, which is where I live. And so I was able to go last Saturday to the Formula E race. To go. I'll send you photos. It was incredible in the Portland International Raceway. And so I think it's just so cool that racing is it's racing season. NASCAR is going on right now. Indy's going on right now. We have F2, F3 going on right now. And it's just so exciting that we're just, because we're in a drought, right? In the wintertime, there's nothing going on, right? And it's just like, there's nothing going on, right? Christmas time, January, you're just waiting. And then now there's too much stuff to watch. Like, you can't watch it all. And so I'm so excited for this weekend to be able to have the sprint. I love the sprint. I think it's incredible. I love that they brought it. I've been waiting for them, for the kind of F2 style format with the little mini race. I love this concept. I'm really interested to see how Checo is going to come up on the main race, but I'm also interested to see if he's going to perform, he's going to learn, and maybe qualify a little bit better for the sprint shootout tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he does if he rises the challenge. I'm looking forward to see, you guys mentioned Alonso not being up there. I wonder if their big upgrades in Canada, is it just track specific? Was it just that's what I always wonder, right? Is dominance,
course,
or just betterness that the team does? Is it track specific? Is it just that day? Tires, all that kind of stuff. So
all of it, but part of it is that the time differences between the top 10 was so marginal. Like
right.
It was so tight. So and I think that's one of the things about a track like the Red Bull Ring is you've got, or in Austria, you've got it's not, I don't say it's not as technical, but it is just a high speed circuit. And so you get to see it's a little bit more of an equalizer, and you get to see how the drivers are performing. I mean, Alex Albon is, Q3 again and doing, just doing so well. And so
he actually out qualified Russell on like with merit. He out qualified Russell this qualifying, and he scored P7 in Canada. And I love watching him. Like, he's so much fun to watch in this car that should not be where it is, and he's taking it where it's not supposed to be. Incredible.
Well, okay, so I'm just
I think
looking
it's
at. Oh, go ahead.
this is just credit their best finish in about 2 years. So yeah, he's
Right.
definitely
Huge.
putting that car in places where it hasn't been, and I think really showing that I think Red Bull just over pressured him and cooked that thing way too quick
Yeah,
and
I
pushed him
agree.
out the door. So
That
we don't
was
have to elaborate. It's just
no.
so exciting to see
I had
that,
the
but then see what he's doing now.
I had the same thought today to see Albon performing the way that he is in a Williams. Williams, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In a second, guess myself because you're like, is that really happening? Is this like? But it is. I had the same thought during qualifying today. I'm like, there must be a little bit of regret over in the Red Bull paddock because he's just fast. He just needed that little bit of time to
Right.
mature. And
Right.
I mentioned F2. One of the reasons I like watching F2, especially at this point in the season, is as we're looking towards the next season, you start recognizing, okay, some of these names are going to be the ones that show up next year, and so it's fun to familiarize. But I was just looking like Alonso finished he's on in seventh place, seventh spot on the grid.
Right.
Q3, Max Verstappen qualified with 104.391. Alonso in seventh was 104.911. So both in the 104s, like a half a second between first and seventh position. Like
That's crazy.
That's
crazy.
that is so close.
Yeah.
Which I'm just hoping translates into a phenomenal race. I mean, let's be real. Let's be real. Max is going to start, and he's, halfway through the race, he's going to be way up in the distance.
No, that's a given. That's a given.
It's just it's been the norm all season, right? Like, unless something catastrophic happens, Max is running away with it. But what do you guys think? Who's coming in second, third?
Let me see right here.
Dad, what do you think?
Chad, what's your thoughts?
I'm going Verstappen. Let's go with let's get Norris up there just because he's in that mix, and then Leclerc will be my top three as my wild card.
That'd be a fun podium. I agree. Verstappen, I don't think we're gonna see signs on the podium. I'm gonna go Verstappen. I think Leclerc is going to be second, and I think he's actually going to challenge Max a little bit. I think. I'm actually predicting that our starting order is going to be what we end up on the podium with a Red Bull and two Ferraris. Yeah, Micah.
I think it's going to be a Red Bull, a Ferrari, and then I'm like 1-2, and then I really hope it's either Hamilton or Norris, like an off team. I mean, Hamilton's been really doing those podiums, and I'm super excited for him. I want Norris. Give me Norris P3. I want Norris P3. I want him to shine in that car that should not be there.
Mr. Unsportsmanlike or bad behavior or whatever it was.
Penalty last weekend. You know what? No, I'm gonna go P3 all the way, and so super excited for that. And
cool.
I hope that happens. So yeah. Super excited for this weekend. Let's have some fun racing.